What happens if the house that you're buying doesn't appraise for the agreed upon price? Well, the appraisal is actually one of the most critical points of the buying process. But let's go ahead and break this down so that way you're prepared whenever you do get your appraisal back. My name is Kyle Powers, your Manhattan real estate expert, and I'm here to cover the appraisal process and what that looks like for you. So let's go ahead and just define what an appraisal is. So that appraisal is the third-party, non-biased, unbiased opinion of your home's price. What that is, it's not me. I'm gonna run my comparables. I'm gonna run all that stuff. That way you understand why we should offer what we offer. But this is not the listing agent, not me, not the lender. This is a third party, unbiased. They're looking at the entire house as a whole. This is not your inspections. They're not going through all on that one. And on a VA loan, I promise you, this is what they're thinking about when they're doing a VA inspection. It gives you an idea of what your home's value is. Sometimes it goes higher, sometimes it goes lower. Typically it lands right about what that contract price is. So if there's, this is where for buy side, this is where it's a good thing to make sure that we had the price, had the house under contract on the price that we really felt like it was worth. And then that really comes into play here as well. What this appraisal actually is just there to protect the lender's investment. And yes, it is the lender's investment. They're investing in you, but if you default or whatever reason, they're going to want to make sure that they are covered too. That way they could go sell the property or do whatever it may need. That's where they're protecting their investment. And so that's why they want that third party, unbiased person. So that way you're not bumping the price or lowering the price, whatever that looks like. So next piece of this one is what happens during that appraisal process. Well, first step is the lender is going to order that appraisal. It is a lottery system. They don't know, they can't say, oh, I want appraiser A versus appraiser B. It's not the way it works. They throw it in a pool and then one appraiser pulls it out. That way it makes it to where that lender doesn't really mess with your thing as well. The appraiser will come out, they'll visit the property, they'll take a look at everything, they'll take pictures, they'll do all that stuff, seeing what kind of condition the house is in, and then they're gonna look at everything, right? So they're gonna look at your number of bedrooms, square footage, finished square footage, level of finishes, is it Formica countertops versus granite countertops? They're going to take all of that into play and into consideration. Then the next step that they're going to do is they're going to actually look at comparable sales. And what that is kind of what I do at the beginning of the process whenever we're writing that offer. We look at what's been selling in the area, and we want to make sure that that it's not overselling or underselling on everything. And so they're going to look at, like, what are your neighbors' houses selling for? What are the neighbors' finishes looking at? So they're going to look at all of that stuff and kind of compile an actual number, and they will have adjustments up or down depending on if your house is better or worse than the ones that they are comparing it to. The next step in that process is they will give their final report. And once they give that final report, it gets sent to your lender, it gets sent to you, and then you guys can actually review it. If you want me to review that as your agent, I'm more than happy to do that as well, but it doesn't come to me. You have to send that to me so that way I have it. Now, with those final reports, typically the appraisers, or at least the ones local around here, they try to make sure that we work hand in hand because you're trying to get the home sold, right? But they also don't want you to severely overpay. Obviously, if you're underpaying, then that's a good thing too. I've had some come in where they're $200,000 higher than the sale price of the property. Doesn't happen all the time. Typically it hits, like, if it's a $250,000, $300,000 sale price, it hits within $5,000 of that price. Could be $305,000, $295,000, wherever that kind of plays in. If for whatever reason that doesn't come in or something there, we do have an opportunity that we could really dive into and just kind of get a second opinion and kind of see what that looks like. But we have those options. We have the ability that we can really kind of move and go around that one. So that's kind of things that we do. So the final report is really what we're looking at. Typically that timeline is looking at about, depending on how booked they are, how slammed they are, it's 2 to 3 weeks. Just kind of depends on how busy they actually are. So what happens if your appraisal comes in low? This is one I get quite often. So we have 3 options at that point. The seller can lower their price. Let's just use 300,000. Let's say it comes in at 290, right? But we have it under contract at 300. It comes in at 290. Seller can lower their price at $10,000, so then it sells for $290,000, which that's, as a buyer agent, that's what I'm always shooting for you. The second option is you come up with that money. You come up with that additional $10,000 and whatever that looks like. And then the third option would be that you just completely walk away from the deal. You have to pay your inspectors, you have to do all that stuff, but we have those contingencies in place that if for whatever reason you don't have that cash or anything like that, you can walk away, get your earnest money back, but you're still paying inspectors, you're still paying all of those things. I guess there is a way too that, maybe in that scenario, the buyer and seller splits it. You come up with 5, the seller comes up with the other 5. But typically, if it doesn't appraise, I'm never, as your buyer agent, I'm never going to push you to actually paying up that difference. Unless you're like, nah, Kyle, this is our forever home. I don't want to lose it, blah, blah, blah. We'll have those discussions, I promise you. But that's what you're looking at, is you really just need to pay attention to where that value comes in and then what the pluses and minuses are. But we'll have those conversations. So just because it comes in low doesn't necessarily mean the deal's dead. There are options we can do that we can really kind of work around that just to try to make sure you get that home for you and your family. Some of the common challenges and how we can avoid those are the following. So we're going to look at, be realistic with your pricing, right? Be realistic with your offer when you are making that initial offer. Some of them, obviously, we're obviously, as buyers, I'm going to want to make sure that we get you the best possible deal that we can. But being realistic with that one is going to be very important, just because we can avoid this, right? We can avoid the appraisal process and we can look at that stuff. And I don't like to go too far into it, but my point is that having a professional real estate agent, as in myself or someone else that is a professional, is very important, because they'll be able to be like, okay, listen, this is why I think it's worth this. This is where I think an appraiser is going to come in, and this is how we're going to play this. So with that, you need to understand the importance of actually determining your value with your comparables. Are you looking at price per square footage? Are you looking at the build? Are you looking at the finishes? Like, all of this is all encompassing, and that's why when we're at the very beginning of the process, I want to make sure we're making strong, intelligent offers, because that's going to make our lives a lot easier on the back end of things. This is also crazy important to make sure that you are staying within your budget, because if for some reason, let's just say your budget is $300, but you offer $450 on a different property, we're like, oh no, I can make that. Sure, you can probably, but if it doesn't appraise, where are we sitting then, right? And so I think having those opportunities, or having those honest moments with yourself and honest conversations with me and with you and your family, and making sure that you're not house poor is going to be the importance of this. Because if things don't, it's not perfect, right? I've seen so many times where this really kind of comes into play, where just being smart with how we do this is going to be protect you on the long run, and just make sure that you are okay when it comes to that. Frequently asked questions about appraisals are, can I be there when the appraiser's there? Typically, to answer that question, the appraisers do work independently, so you're not really supposed to be there when they're there. They want to have time to walk through the property, go through all that kind of stuff. Now, if there's a construction loan or something, that's a whole different ballgame. But for normal appraisals, no, you typically cannot be there. The next one I've already covered, but it is, how long does that process take? And I'm telling you, it's right around that 2-week process, plus or minus a couple of days. So it'd be 1.5 to 2.5 weeks is probably what I would give you. The appraiser, you really want to kind of dive deep into what the house is worth and what that can actually be. The appraisal is a very important step in the buying process, and so understanding what you're getting into when you get to that point is going to be very important. This one, make sure that you are not overpaying for a house, right? So again, I'm here to help in the beginning stages of this one, but this is the third party unbiased person that's going to say, yes, this house is worth X, or no, it's not worth this, it's worth this. So it's a very important step in the process. Nothing to be stressed about. Please do not stress about the appraisal process. I promise you, we've been through many of these on my team, and I'm here to help guide you through this entire process to make sure that you are okay, make sure that we are making the right decision when we are buying this home for you and your family. So if you have any questions about the appraisal process or anything else like that, please reach out to me. I'd love to chat with you a little bit, talk through the whole thing with you. My cell phone number is 785-477-5485. My email is kyle@homesforsalemhk.com. And as always, if there is anything that you have, any questions or anything else like that, one, put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Number two is reach out. I don't care if it's a text message or an email or whatever that may be. Reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear about your process. And if there's anything else I can do to help you throughout this whole buying thing in Manhattan, Kansas. And as always, if there's anything that you need real estate related, I don't care if it's buying, selling, or investing, please reach out. I want to help out. Stay tuned for next week's video. We are going to cover the closing day. This is the fun part. This is when you get your keys. And so we really want to make sure that we are getting you taken care of and making sure that you have a understanding of what this whole process looks like. So as always, thank you so much for watching these videos. And if you haven't done so already, please go and hit that subscribe button. Go and hit that little bell so you get notified of any future content. And please like, comment, and share, whatever that looks like for you, somebody with this video, so that way they can get them and get them through the process of buying a new home for them and their family. Thank you so much. And until next week, we'll talk to you later.